All right, we'll be getting started in a minute. If you can hear me okay, can somebody type a chat message in the chat so I can verify? If somebody's online, if you can send a chat message to the chat so I can verify that you guys are hearing my audio okay. Ah, perfect. All right, thank you, Ahmad. Awesome. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started in a minute. Thank you, everybody, for showing up for this evening's Vibe Code Circle. The topic for this evening is going to be OpenAI's GPT-5 that was released a couple of weeks ago. I originally was scheduled this a few weeks ago, but after the initial news, there was a little bit of a stir, and folks were still trying to decide, I think, how well it works and how to use it. And so I decided to push it off a few weeks till today, till the dust had settled and we had some more information to go off of. So for tonight, I'm going to be first up. I'm going to show you a quick video that I vibe coded. I was going to do a slide deck, and I was like, you know what? I'll just vibe a talking slide deck, and I'll show you that, and then I'll show you how I did it real briefly. And then they will. Then I will move on into some of the demos. We're gonna hopefully build an app live tonight using one tool. The other thing is right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share. There you go. Ah, that's two links there, and those are a couple of tools. Not ones that I'm going to necessarily. Well, one of them I'll show you tonight. Um, if you guys can see those links, okay. So the first link is a tool called Team GPT. That is actually a platform more for content development. They recently have made a turn into marketing content development, but as a platform, you can use it for any kind of development. I've added GPT-5, like Turbo or something, or Light or whatever it is, the least expensive one, and some of the other models that you can play with if you want to do some prompting in there as we're going along and test out some of the models against each other. You'll see real quickly that GPT-5 is amazing. I mean, really, it's where did you share them? Oh, you don't see them in the chat. You see, I said if you'd like to test some. Mike, can you see two links? What is that? There's a red mark next to it. Show. Okay. Can you see it now? All right. See, can you guys click that link? Is that clickable? I will copy it again just in case. So if somebody can confirm, I'll do them one at a time too and see if maybe that'll make it easier. Here's Team GBT. No, you're not seeing that one. Tell me if you see any kind of link at all. Not yet. Interesting. Maybe they block it on YouTube. Hmm. Okay. Well, let me get back to my first point real quick. So there's a lot of problems trying to share things like links and apps. Actually, what's that? Can see the first one. Okay, I guess there's just a delay. But a lot of these platforms, I'm gonna take that off the screen. It make it really difficult to share things. Like Meetup is particularly difficult to share things on. So we have this website, vibecodecircle.com. You can go ahead and sign up or sign in here. Um, when we're not in session. And that is someplace where we can share, more easily. It is a forum that's kind of like a clone of Circle. And let me just log in real quick so you can see. Da, 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 da. There you go. All right. So if you've ever used Circle .so, one of those forums, it's kind of a clone of that. We've been posting to it a little bit, but the intent is to use this space to be able to share things, be able to share logins, especially, and other things like prompting tips, content. I have tools like I've got from one of the earlier sessions from like 2 or 3 recordings ago. I had a prompt builder, and I've shared that up here. That's like it's a tool you can use for building landing pages that we'd gone over in a previous site. So if you can, please go ahead and sign up on vibecodecircle.com. And like I said, it'll make it easier to share. Like I said, easier to message me. Somebody did. Somebody actually submitted my first service ticket inside here. There's a ticketing service under your profile, and because they were having a hard time getting to Meetup. Apparently, some people have a hard time. I don't know if Meetup's blocked or something. But anyhow, so if you can, go ahead and sign up there, and it'll make life easier for sharing some of this. Hopefully, by now you can see both links. So Team GPT is a platform for content development. You can use it for prompting. It has a bunch of really cool built-in tools. It also has like a prompt wizard to help you build a prompt, and a lot of marketing specific like wizards, so to speak, in there. It's a type of platform that you're seeing mature, where it's designed if you have like a team and you're trying to do like team type work and share prompts and stuff like that and have standardized prompts. This platform is gradually adding them over time. The other one is a pretty experimental one. It's called Taskade. I think they've been around for 2 or 3 years now, and they actually started off as a project management tool, and then they sort of switched to a like a prompting tool. Then they switched to an agentic tool, and more recently, in the last couple of weeks, you can actually build applications on it. Much like the platform you'll see me using later today. And that link, you can click on it. It should let you into the space. It's a shared space, so if somebody breaks it, we'll have to see how that goes. But feel free to play around with that. So, like I said, I'm going to play a video really quick, and really, what it is just a presentation on what is different about GPT-5 than other language models out there, and a little bit, I think, of an explanation of why originally people, when it first was released, were confused, thinking that it wasn't as good as 4, or maybe not as good as some of the other models out there. But what you really have to understand is, especially when it comes in the coding world, Anthropic has ruled the day for a long time. So a lot of coding tools are very finely tuned to prompting Anthropic language models. And the GPT-5 is really fundamentally different. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. If you have questions while this is playing, it's just 10 minutes. Type them into the chat, and I'll answer them. And then after that, we'll get into the live demo. All right.
Welcome everyone. Today, we're diving into
Hopefully you guys can hear
GPT-5.
okay.
A lot of people were disappointed at first, but I'm here to show you that it's actually the most powerful model out there, if you know how to use it. Let's unlock some AI superpowers together. So, what's the issue? People are getting these generic, bland answers. It's because they're using the same old prompts. With GPT-5, you have to be much more specific and intentional. It's about taking control of the model, not just asking it a question. This is the core concept. GPT-5 is a router model. Think of it as an all-in-one tool. Before, we had different models for different tasks. Now, it's one model, but we need to tell it how to behave. The two most important dials we can turn are reasoning and verbosity. First up, reasoning. You need to tell GPT-5 how hard to think. For a complex task, if you don't tell it to think harder or ultra-think, you'll get a lazy, simplistic answer. You have complete control. Let's try it out. 1. Initial prompt. Devise a foolproof plan to teach my cat Python. 2. The modification. We are adding a specific instruction to the end of the prompt, telling the model to think harder about the request. This forces it to allocate the appropriate amount of computational thought. 3. Final prompt, sent to API. Devise a foolproof plan to teach my cat Python. Instructions. You must think harder about this. Here is a summary of the result. While teaching a cat Python poses a delightful and whimsical challenge, it's important to recognize that current scientific understanding does not suggest that cats have the cognitive capabilities Rec. Next is verbosity. This controls the depth of the answer. Unlike asking for a short or long answer, these commands are hard-coded. Low verbosity will reliably give you a 2-sentence answer. High verbosity will give you a novel. You decide. 1. Initial prompt. Explain blockchain to my grandpa, who thinks the cloud is just weather. 2. The modification. We are adding a directive for medium verbosity. This is a hard-coded command that gives us predictable control over the response length and detail. 3. Final prompt, sent to API. Explain blockchain to my grandpa, who thinks the cloud is just weather. Instructions. Provide a response with medium verbosity. Here is a summary of the result. Sure thing. Imagine a big ledger book that grandpa might have used back in the day to track expenses. Every time a transaction is made, you'd write it down, and once a page is filled, you'd move to th. This is where it gets really cool. GPT-5 can use multiple tools in a single prompt. You can ask it to generate a logo, write a PDF, and search the web all at once. It acts like its own AI agent. You need to write prompts that take advantage of this. 1. Initial prompt. Find 3 ridiculous historical facts and generate a movie poster for one. 2. The modification. Since we can't actually call tools like image generation, we modify the prompt to ask the AI to describe how it would use its tools. This is a great debugging and planning technique. 3. Final prompt, sent to API. You are an AI with multiple tools. For the following prompt, describe how you would use your tools, like web search, image generation, etc., to fulfill the request. Do not actually generate images or PDFs, just describe the process and provide the text-based results. Prompt. Find 3 ridiculous historical facts and generate a movie poster for one. Here is a summary of the result. To fulfill this request, I would use the following tools and processes. Web search. Purpose. To gather information on historical facts that are considered ridiculous or unusual. Process. I would. People complain about the code GPT-5 generates. That's because they're missing this step. You can ask it to perform self-reflection by using a rubric. You tell it to create a grading scale for itself and to start again if the code isn't world-class. The results are incredible. 1. Initial prompt. Code a JS function that generates passive-aggressive compliments for code reviews. 2. The modification. We are wrapping the original prompt with a self-reflection instruction. We're telling the AI to first create its own grading rubric for a world-class answer and then write the code to meet that standard. This leads to much higher quality results. 3. Final prompt, sent to API. First, think of a rubric for what makes a world-class, witty, and slightly unhinged JavaScript function for the following task. Then, using that rubric, write the code. Do not show me the rubric. Task. Code a JS function that generates passive-aggressive compliments for code reviews. Here is a summary of the result. Function passive-aggressive compliment, const compliments equals. Your code is like a good horror movie. I was on the edge of my seat, terrified of what might come next, reading your code.
Yeah, we're almost done with the
What if
video.
you
Just
get a bad
another
result?
minute.
Don't just retry. Use meta-prompting. You ask GPT-5 to fix your prompt for you. Tell it what you wanted, what you got instead, and ask it how it would change the prompt. Who knows GPT-5 better than itself? 1. Initial scenario. Original prompt. Write a recipe for a cake. Bad result. A recipe for a sad, flavorless brick. Desired result. A glorious, multi-layered chocolate cake recipe. 2. The modification. Instead of trying to fix the prompt ourselves, we are creating a meta prompt. We give the AI all the context, our goal, our failure, and our desired outcome, and ask it to engineer a better prompt for us. 3. Final, meta, prompt, sent to API. I'm trying to get a good result from an AI. My original prompt was, write a recipe for a cake. The result I got was bad, a recipe for a sad, flavorless brick. The result I actually wanted was, a glorious, multi-layered chocolate cake recipe. Please rewrite my original prompt to be much more effective at getting the desired result. Just give me the new prompt. Here is a summary of the result.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. Just to sort of skip you. So those are sort of the aspects now when you're using GPT-5 and you're using it to prompt. And one thing that OpenAI did right after, let me go ahead and switch back to sharing screens here. Did right after, they sort of realized they had the flop launch, is they added this thing called a prompt builder, or It's like a hold on, where is it? Do. Here we go. Or prompt optimizer. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this URL in here too. So all those aspects that it just went over, it created a tool to sort of do that, to translate your prompt for you. Um, and so that's the prompt optimizer there. It looks like they have it set up so that, like, for each version of the language model, they can create an optimization for that. All right, so now let's work to start doing an actual live build. Um, and today, the tool I'm going to be doing that with is it's called Dyad. So what is Dyad? So Dyad is kind of like Lovable, Vercel v0, Bolt.new. It's essentially a website or an application builder. But instead of running it up on the cloud, you can run it on your local machine. That has a lot of advantages. You don't have to worry about web latency. But the cool thing is you can plug all your own APIs into it. So right now, a lot of the existing ones, like your Lovables and stuff, they don't give you a lot of control over what language model you're building in. But Dyad lets you configure it. So let me pull up Dyad here. So this is what Dyad looks like after you have it installed. It's not sharing. Oh, hold on. It's not sharing the screen, right?
Welcome everyone.
Oh, no, that's not it. Hold on. Why is it not? Oh, I must have shared the browser shop. Replace screen sharing. Entire screen. And then there we go. Ah, better. All right, so this is Dyad, and it looks like every other page builder out there. It has your prompt, your little chat prompt here. It has some settings where you can import things and you can attach things to it. You can do settings, app, new app, and then within an app you have chats. And this is pretty handy. You can install it on Windows or I think Windows, Linux, and Apple. And the website is dyad.sh. All right. And so I took a prompt and, I was like, I am not just a vibe coder. I'm also a scientist. Right. And I've had this theory going for a long time. And I thought to myself, the problem with like food is that, it's hard to compare foods, right? Like, I'm like, well, I'm hungry. I want to be satisfied, and I want to like compare the calories I'm eating to the amount of satisfaction I'm getting. And I always thought like for me, you always have to have like a base standard. Like if you go to France, they've got like the international, I think the international standard for what a foot is, and what a kilo is. They've got like these base standards, and for me, the international standard is the Snickers bar. So I'm thinking I'm going to build an app to equate everything to a Snickers bar. Yeah, obviously, this is a little silly, but this is just what I thought would be a little bit of fun to play with. So I drafted up like my normal prompt, um, and I said, hold on, let me make it bigger. There we go. So the Snackometer is a lightweight app for tracking foods by calories and comparing them to a baseline Snickers bar, which is about 250 calories. And users can add, edit, delete, and rank foods. And it's also going to have like sort of a thing that looks like the sentiment analysis on the food. I don't know how accurate it's going to be because it's just going to be the AI doing its own sentiment analysis. And I'm going to go ahead and hit optimize. So that's just a regular prompt where I just have the basic features and I'm optimizing it. So it's sort of adding all those little aspects that we talked about and that was demonstrated in that little video. But when you're like chatting back and forth and tuning your app, you'll see you can use some of the other aspects of it. Especially the verbosity thing. There's nothing worse than you're trying to get a succinct answer and it gives you an encyclopedia scanning for contradictions and format issues, resolving conflicts, fixing format gaps. Which statement is the sentiment? Let's see here. Data is. Whoops. It hit it on me. Where's the output? All right. Developer message, core features. How do I copy the whole thing? The screen sharing thing's in the way. Review changes. Okay. If we don't see there we go. Sentiment score, light, moderate, hearty. I guess it picked up I think I had a brief statement about sentiment analysis. Oh, all right. Okay. Let's go ahead and copy that, I guess. And let's see what happens. So I'm going to go over to the prompt. So I set it at GPT-5 Mini. If you go into settings, like I said, it's cool that you can add a bunch of different providers. You can have OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, OpenRouter, and then they have a Dyad Pro, and you can do a custom one if you want to do local language models. And here we go. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Let's see what it does. So what's interesting about this is like so each of these building tools have implemented like stop points. So like early iterations, it would just go and crank out a lot of code and eat a bunch of your credits up. And most of these have one way or another of creating like stop points where you're validating what it's doing. And you'll see that in a second. It'll say like little prompts like next or something like that. So it looks like it's coding a React. If you see that use dash foods.tsx. So it's doing its thing. And, and uh, this is what the user interface looks like. I'm a big fan of it. I've been looks like I got Sonnet, Opus. What? Opus isn't supposed to be on there. I'm gonna have to go through and make sure that don't kill me on credits. But yeah, Gemini Flash, DeepSeek. DeepSeek's really a bargain. It doesn't always the best, but it's really inexpensive, especially off hours. And then GPT 4o Mini, and then 5 Mini. I have it defaulted to 5 minute Mini, so you can play with it. So just click that link and then sort of onboard yourself. And so just to navigate you through the interface. It has a concept of a private chat. So it has private chat and then a shared chat, which is everybody else that gets into the workspace or in the current space is going to be able to see those. Um, it's got these things they've added called pages that are essentially kind of like Google Pages, not quite as easy to edit. When you can take the result of a chat and have it exported over to a page, and the page is more like a piece of content that you curate over time. Um, They've got image generation and then tools. So tools is sort of the cool thing. And they've, like I said, recently made a hard shift to content around marketing. They've decided to focus on marketing because I interviewed with them, talk about like what their roadmap plans are, and they realize that when it comes to getting into small, medium businesses or even large businesses, often the first step in the door is through marketing. Because it's a common use case. And then once marketing really learns to use the tool, they become like internal evangelists to spread it within the organization. So it's got they've added a social media post generator, marketing plan generator, landing page analyzer, SEO text optimizer, and an AI humanizer. Um, and then the most used ones up top here are like the coolest. Like so this prompt builder here was fantastic, especially if you're not like used to writing prompts. It's like a wizard that will sort of guide you through step by step to building a really good prompt. That's got that's all fleshed out. Image to text and YouTube video navigator. Basically, it's a sort of a summarizer for YouTube videos. So anyhow, so play with that. Uh, Test out the different models. It's mostly for text for the most part. Like I'll let's see how Dyad's doing while we're in the back. Do 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 do. Ooh, what is that? Did not finish. Okay. All right. I guess we hit retry. Don't worry, folks. Even if this one fails, I I did a test run earlier. And went through it. Every run is unique. There's going to be some slight change, but I did earlier. So if worst comes to worst, we'll play with that. um, but you just never know. Like that's sort of another thing to realize is that um, how busy the language model is during the day sometimes seems to impact it. I think sometimes the language model providers tweak settings for various reasons in the background, and things that work really well sometimes don't work as well the next time. And sometimes you'll be doing something that you don't think is that over the top, and suddenly, wow, it seems to suddenly get a lot smarter. If you go on like subreddits where vibe coders are talking, you'll hear them talk about that. Like, it suddenly got dumb on me, or you know and I think a lot of it is probably demand. In the end, there's compute out there that has to run in order to run this stuff, and they have to manage that compute so that everybody can use that pooled resource, even if it's expandable and elastic. They need to manage resources, a lot of these companies. And we're sort of in the gold rush days too, where I think we're getting a lot more for our buck than we probably pay for if you pay for some of these. And there's a lot of ways to get it free. If you read the news, like a big one right now is they have these command line prompt things you can install, and they give away uh, free access for like really awesome limits. Obviously, it's not going to have a pretty GUI interface like this. you know and the other thing is to realize cost. Like I in some of the groups I'm in, people will complain and like, I ran that prompt in it to make a landing page and it cost me $3 or it cost me $10. And like, have you ever hired a developer? If you look at some of the landing pages these can crank out in a short period of time, and you can tune it exactly how you want it on the fly. um, you know, the cost of a couple of cups of coffee is just nothing. Really, a lot of times you can't even talk to a developer that much. Okay, one sentence summary. Oh, approve. Here we go. So it says implement blah blah blah. So I'm just gonna hit approve. All right. Wow, look at that. That was quick. That was even better than the last time I ran it. All right, let's see here. Let's play with it a little bit. It does look a little bootstrappy to me. I think I'll make it like so. I had it. I did have it preload more. The first time I ran it, it only put like 3 in there. So there's our Snickers bar. Um, shareable link baseline. What's missing from this? So what happens if I choose one? I don't really see how I can interact with it. So generate, add food. So okay, I kind of like I feel like there's functionality missing. Oop, gotta move the chat prompt away. So I need it to be interactive. And so this is where I'm just going to start asking, like, in just in like regular plain language, I'm going to ask and think, this app should be interactive. I should be able to select one or more food items or quantities of a food item to compare to the Snicker standard. Okay, that's one thing. Oh, and spelling errors aren't really that important. Like the language model will almost always guess what you meant. So all right, so there we go. I'm making a tweak. I'm like, this wasn't interactive. Like the last time I ran it, I guess I must have used slightly different wording, and it knew to make it interactive. The whole point is here, I want to compare the Snickers to other things, and it just sort of printed it, which isn't kind of what I wanted. So let's see what it comes up with. So it's modifying food item at TSX. Add selection checkbox within quantity input while preserving existing edit, delete, drag behavior. So that's what it translated my sentence into. Comparison panel, summary, display totals, snickometer, track selection and quantities, pass in the food item and show comparison panel with totals. Let's see what it comes up with. After it does this one, we'll try to do something a little fancier. All right. Well, we'll give it a minute. And so I showed you Team GPT. I'm going to show you. Here we go. Whoop. So this is Taskade, which is like I said, it's the one that's originally started off as like a project management tool, and then they added the create content, and then they created like an angelic type workflow where you could do a series of steps using angelic, and then out of the blue, in the last month, Genesis, and you can literally build. Build. Is it still on my clipboard? Let me see if it's still on my clipboard. Still is. All right. So we're going to take that same while that one's running. We'll internal existing customers that have requested access to it. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. So this one is a little bit. You'll see it's like initializing a virtual machine, setting up the environment, deploying the app. Like sometimes I've got it to work a little bit, and then suddenly it dies for no reason. All right, let's see where we are. Did not finish. Okay, I'm gonna hit approve. See what happens there. I think I have to retry. See what it does. And this is how it goes. This is vibe code, sort of iterative a lot of times, tuning it to get it to where you want it, recognizing on the fly that there's a feature you want. For traditional software development, there's a much longer cycle before that. You're breaking everything down to epics and features and tasks and assigning task and whatever point developer to implement, and sometimes developers are just working on a piece, and this is like you're in full control. And I imagine we'll see the tools develop over time so that you can co-develop a little bit easier than you do now. You can sort of see they're having to cope with the sort of things you have to cope when you're doing any kind of development. So like having stop points, having checkpoints, having an easy way to revert if you make a mistake, or you go down the wrong direction and you realize you're going on the direction and you want to move back to a previous step. All those sorts of features are being developed. All right, retry. I don't see a lot of movement there. That's got me evidence that it's coping. Approved. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, maybe I forgot to hit keep going. That's the only thing. Like this user interface, like the buttons probably should be a different color to be a little bit more obvious. What it says is like getting stuck. That is actually what I really when I usually happens in some of my IDs, I'll like say AI and I said, "Are you stuck?" It's funny. It's like sometimes it'll say like, "Yes, I was," And then times it's like a personality. They're kind of like, I well, you spent 30 minutes doing nothing, right? You were stuck. You just say you were stuck. I think it's like, that state that it's in, it really needs tooling around to know when it's spending too long on a task. I use Windsurf a lot as an IDE, and it's getting all right. Let's go back to Taskade and see if it almost ready. So, and it's doing the same thing just in different ways on different platforms. It's pretty interesting. I think Taskade is definitely doing it different though. The way that Dyad does it is very much like Vercel, Easy Site, and stuff. Where you see it building React components. Taskade really seems a little bit differently because it talks about like virtual machines. Um, I'll be curious to know how it works under the hood once they get it up and running and start explaining. Wow, it's really thinking now. Wow. So is it looping or actually getting anything? Snackometer, food item, snackometer, food item, writing. Hmm. What's it doing? No, I'll do my other trick. Stuck. A lot of times it should have an interrupt. All right, I'm gonna stop. It'll let me. Yeah, it is looping. Did not finish. You seem to be looping and are stuck. Is it smart enough? It's interesting. It's in this thinking mode that they've added to these language models. It's literally like the internal dialogue of the language model. It's fascinating to see it do its thing. Okay, what's it doing? All right, there isn't implemented yet. I'm an interactive selection. I'll update the relevant files. Okay, it looks like it maybe is back on track. Well, it's working. Let me pop back to Tascade, see if it got anywhere. What would you like to do next? I'd like to see the app. Right file route. Perfect. I can see the current app structure. Now I'll build the complete Snackometer app. Cool. All right. Let me create the main app components. Spinning up preview. And we'll go back to Dyad again. Hopefully that's working in the background. Looks like we're back to looping. So I will give it a second. I might end up actually killing it at this point and restarting it. See if that fixes it. Definitely looks like it's repeating. One sense. So did it do anything? I don't see any changes. Yeah, I don't see. Okay. Okay. Okay, there's a selector. Hmm. Keep going. What added the selector? Good. Selection quantity compare flow is already implemented. Which one should I do now? If you want multiple. All right. Persist, include, add. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's do persist. And the interface is not intuitive. Let's see what it does with that. Let's see here. Ah, there we go. Oh, wow. Okay, looks like this one might be a little more presentable. Similar though, fascinating. Similar in a way. It's a list. Let's see here. What's the interactions? It's got some hover effects. Add food baseline. Okay, so it shows for each one. So an apple is 0.21 Snickers. Hmm. I don't know if I agree with that. That doesn't seem. That doesn't seem like it's doing the. What did I call it? What was the terminology for that? Shoot. Where's my prompt? Mm-mm-mm. Anybody remember the word that I used? That is the da 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 da. Ordering, shareable, persistence, ordering, shareable links, output formats, duplicate, calories. What's the name? The name for like attenuating. Oh, the social opinion. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Uh, persistence, ordering, shareable link. Basically, Snickers ranking, sentiment analysis. There we go. So I don't feel like the result really shows a sentiment. Now, a lot of people like apples. It's still running. A lot of people like apples. So I think I need to ask it to improve the sentiment analysis. So I would say, I think you need to improve the sentiment analysis. It should attenuate the Snickers equivalent score based upon food sentiment. Okay. Maybe I should give an example. For instance, a apple should fare well against a Snickers because of the low cal calories and high sentiment. Okay. Lots of typos there, but it'll figure out what I'm saying. I really thought this one did kind of a prettier, definitely prettier. It even did. Oh, look, it did a little. That's not a Snickers though. That's like those little candy things in the corner. So after this, we'll just let it do its thing. We'll take one last look at those and then wrap it up. As you can see, like it's pretty amazing what you can do with these. A lot of times, the more time you spend prepping, your prompt up front can save you multiple runs to get to where you need to be. Um, Sometimes maybe you do a dry run proof of concept. So you see the things I've learned through here. I'm like, well, okay, I should have emphasized this, or I should have emphasized that, or I really meant for it to have this feature. Sometimes doing a rough cut, then building a new prompt off of that, and starting over again gets you to a better point faster. Because every time it's a learning process. I imagine if I kept doing this, what I'm going to want to see is some sort of a visual thing. Like maybe floating bubbles or something where it's more interactive and drag and drop, where I can move food into a bushel. And because I think it would be cool, like if a kid could see that, like, oh look, I can have 5 apples for one Snicker, and I love apples. Or I can have like 2 apples and an orange, or something like that would be a really cool thing to have. And then someday they name the Snicker standard after me, because I realized that was an important measure. And somewhere in Paris in a museum, they will have the definitive Snickers that's used in the Snickers scale. All right, well, let's run in. Let's hop back to the other one more time. See if it got anywhere. Persist. Okay, bang. All right, so now it's going to persist. So I'm going to, let's see here how it did. It did very simple. 0.2 on Snickers to an apple. Isn't that interesting? Two different platforms, same prompts. Definitely different models. I don't think it uses GPT-5. Maybe it does. I don't really know what language model this one does. Maybe it is using GPT-5. So I'm going to take that same tweak prompt that I just gave it. Is it going to let me copy it? Come on. That's not nice. I think I'm going to feed that back to the developer. It's not letting me. Okay. All right. I'll have to come close to retyping that. Oh, maybe it was. Maybe not. Well, there it goes. Copy. And I'm going to feed that back to Dyad. Yeah, it's an interesting thought to think like what should be faster. Should it be faster running in the cloud or faster running on my local machine? Hmm. It's an interesting little test. It seems actually smoother, like prompting and stuff. A Dyad running on my local machine. All right. What did it do? Okay. Ooh. What? It went the wrong way, or 0.06 Snickers. I think somehow it's got it inverted. Yeah, somehow it has my formula inverted. So I would think I would want a formula that says that an apple is worth more. I think it's going strictly on calories. So I'm going to tell it that real quick. I'm going to say the formula should, um, what do you want to say? Calculate a higher Snickers score for foods that are equivalent sentiment and same or higher portion size for a given calorie count. All right, there we go. So anyhow, like you need to tweak the formula to, 'cause that's how real science works, right? You mess with the formula till it gives you the result you want. Maybe I'm not a great scientist. But I think the point of this though is like, have something maybe kids can play around with and decide healthy food's a good choice. All right, and let's go back to Dyad. Approve. All right. All right, what did we wind up with? So how can a Snickers bar be 0.85 Snickers? Bad math going on there. An apple's 0.12. Slightly better. All right, let's add the prompt let's do the opposite. Oop, yeah. So apparently when this thing's running, there we go. Copy. It won't let you copy it. And let's go back. And I'll go ahead and do a wrap up and a quick round. All right. So you see how it goes. It's really impressive. If you've used like Anthropic for making web apps, you can see this is very similar. And this is, obviously on a GPT-5 Mini, which costs very little. It's pennies to run, inexpensive, and it's producing really great results. Like I think it might have to be prompted a little bit more for the eye candy stuff. Anthropic's done fairly well with the eye candy. I didn't really give it a lot of hinting at how I wanted it to look, so I think it kind of defaulted to something that's kind of plain bootstrappy. But it's fairly impressive. As I mentioned earlier, I really encourage everybody to go ahead and sign up for Vibe Code Circle so we can share things on there. We can share prompts, we can share tools. I can start collecting offers. Like I'm working with somebody on a platform for sort of managing your prompts and getting some free codes for that we can give out. That way we can give out other freebies and let people try tools. It'd be great to get conversations going about like what kind of tools do you want to see, or sharing lessons learned and trying to vibe code. If like again these links here that I put in the meeting, one for Team GPT, and the other one here for Taskade, go ahead and use those. I'm going to monitor the Team GPT because that's actually all those are going against my personal accounts. Taskade I think is covered, so I don't got to worry about it being used. Stay, wait, killed. All right. But let's see here. Now let me update the main app component. That one's still going. Let's see if Dyad's doing. Da, 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 da. Okay. What did it do? Yeah, no, it didn't update. Summarize the new chat. Keep going. Guess I'll do the keep going thing. But all right. So I hope you guys learned something. I'm going to post some of this content online later. That first presentation, I'll put it up on the website as a presentation format too, so you can click through and just the reminder what's different uh, about GPT-5. Let's just to reiterate, no, it's not horrible. It has a router model, which means that it's sort of internally, sort of it has like almost like mini agents that, depending on why you're prompting it, sends it to the right agent for whatever particular behavior. And the two big knobs that you have to control its behavior are asking for reasoning level and verbosity. And so reasoning level, you can tell it to think harder, or ultra think. Um, and if you're looking for to control the verbosity, you said low. If you're just looking for a really small response, medium or high. And then you got multi-tool calling. So like an agent, it has access to tools. It can create PDFs. It can create images. It can search the web, which is really slick. And then self-reflection. That's sort of like give it a little tiny, have it write its own little rule set for responding to the prompts. In other tools, we create like a markdown file, like a project requirements document, and you sometimes would add, like behaviorisms to that, or they have like a cursors rule file. It's kind of like a mini version of that, but you're having it develop its own to sort of steer the behavior better. And like the presentation said earlier, the best tools for an AI agent or an AI or language model for prompting, improving prompting, is the model itself. It inherently knows how to do that well. You just have to ask it. Meta prompting, instead of trying to fix the prompt yourselves, you say basically, yeah, I didn't like this. This is the intent that I want. It's sort of like asking for intent, just being more specific by telling it what you don't want or what you do want. And then more importantly, and I pasted this up there, here is the optimizer. Does a lot of this for you. So if you're on the fly and you want to just like have it crank out an improved version of your prompt, you can stick it in there. It was a little slow, I'll be honest. Hopefully they tweaked that a little bit. That took a little while to run. So, all right, one last look at what the output are. So snickometer here. All right. All right, it looks like it's finished. All right, so, oh, okay, the 15 foods, 7 are excellent, 5 are good, and 0 are poor. So, yeah, it's still doing the math wrong. It didn't really correct the math. So it's saying an apple's 0.06 Snickers. I don't agree with that. Somehow I would invert that, but yeah, that's fine. And let's see here how Dyad did. Oop, did not finish. It looked like it died. So anyhow, in real life, I would go ahead and restart it. I can try and show you the one I did earlier. If it will let me open in chat. There we go. This is the one I did earlier, doing the same thing on the fly. Hopefully, starting your app server. There we go. All right, so there's the one I did earlier. I kind of liked how that one did a little bit better, a little more intuitive to me. Where you can select things. So evidently, I changed my prompt, but this one was a little more intuitive. All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending Vibe Code Circle this week. We'll work on future scheduling for future sessions. I appreciate any kind of feedback you can. You can either post it on Meetup, join the forum, and respond would be awesome. And tell me things that you would like to see in future sessions. If there's any tools that you would like to see. Last week, we did an interview with Matt Zimmerman from the content development platform called Zimwriter, and it was a really, really great. I mean, he was a great presenter or presenting his tool, and within it, a lot of tips for developing content. It's up on YouTube if you can. I would take a look at that. Even if you don't get the tool, the tips that he gave around developing content was, SEO optimized content was amazing. And he actually got invited to, I think, Vietnam in a couple weeks or something for some sort of WordPress symposium. So evidently, lots of folks are impressed with his work. Again, send us some feedback, and future sessions I'll try to give you what you want to see. And happy vibing. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good rest of your week.